more than one squirrel to change a light bulb. Because they're so darn stupid.
It's easy to laugh when you're not the one being laughed at.
I think she should buy both.
You'll catch it stupid.
It's the stupid squirrel!
You remember squirrel jokes? It's the episode where SpongeBob becomes a comedy star by making fun of Sandy. Coincidentally, this is SpongeBob's most racist episode. Now, I'm not saying SpongeBob himself is racist, but this episode shows exactly how racism sneaks into our daily lives, through laughs, peer pressure, and silence. And it's not just a one-time thing. Bikini Bottom always treats anyone who doesn't fit the mold with a little racism, because sometimes all it needs to hurt someone is one joke. It all starts with open mic night at the Krusty Krab, or as I like to call it, comedy night for bottom feeders. SpongeBob gets a shot at stand-up, and let's just say, it's rough.
What's the deal on those things?
So, what does he do? He panics. He scans the room, he finds the one person he knows won't boo him, his best friend Sandy.
Did you ever notice how big squirrels' teeth are?
He goes for the easy target, not because it's clever, but because it just works. You've seen this before. A kid at school who always gets picked on because they're different or because they won't fight back. And tonight, for SpongeBob, it's Sandy. He cracks a line about Sandy's teeth, then her fur, her smell, her brains. And like magic, the crowd lights up.
They're so darn stupid.
Sandy laughs it off at first, because what else can she do? It's the show. But here's the thing about being the butt of the joke. It never stays on stage.
Hello, little critter. What's your name? Don't stand too close to a squirrel, Billy. You'll catch it stupid.
Now she's the dumb squirrel everywhere she goes. People mock her in the aisles. A child is told she might catch the stupid. And no, this isn't subtle. People actually think she is stupid squirrel. But that's the point. Once something becomes a joke, it becomes acceptable. The punchline has left the stage and circling her life. You say, relax, it's just comedy. But sadly, people who laugh don't always know where the line is. And the people who get laughed at, they start shrinking.
Since you've been telling them jokes, people have been treating me different.
But here's the thing. Sandy does what most people won't. She actually confronts SpongeBob, like a real friend would. Says it's hurting her, says, can you lay off the squirrel stuff? And SpongeBob, he agrees, sort of. Turns out, without punching down, he bombs, and just like that, the crowd turns on him. So, he makes a choice. Yep, career over friendship, laughs over loyalty. He gets on stage, puts on a costume, and delivers the worst line of all.
We're laughing with you, not at you.
Honestly, that line should be in a museum. It's the rally cry of every bad comedian, school bully, and Twitter edgelord. We're not being mean, you're just being sensitive. It's how people justify racism in comedy. We're not being mean, you're just being sensitive. SpongeBob thinks he's won. The crowd loves him, Sandy forgave him, life's good. Until he walks into the tree dome. Sandy dressed up as the country southern squirrel. She plays it slow, friendly, syrupy, full southern charm. But don't get it twisted. This is revenge. She glues him to a log, takes his helmet, puts flowers into it like it's a vase. And when SpongeBob starts to dry out, she doesn't flinch. Sandy gives him a taste of what it's like to be dehumanized, to have your identity turned into a prop, your needs turned into a joke, and your life treated like a punchline. That's what SpongeBob did on stage, and now he's the one choking on it. This isn't crazy squirrel antics, it's a mirror. And when SpongeBob finally begs her to stop, she does. But the lesson sticks. SpongeBob opens another show with a squirrel joke, but this time it's different. He follows up with a punchline that hits everyone, including himself. He makes fun of crabs, the fish, even himself. He spreads the joke around evenly, and for once, the laughter actually feels good. It's a small redemption and a reminder that being funny doesn't have to be cruel. SpongeBob learns the real golden rule of comedy. If the joke only works by tearing someone down, maybe it wasn't that funny to begin with. But this episode isn't just about SpongeBob learning his lesson. It's about how easy it is to go too far, and how rare it is to be called out. And sometimes we just have to ask ourselves, how many of us have been in SpongeBob's shoes? Laughed a little too loud, a little too long, not out of cruelty, just not realizing who was taking the hit. And if Sandy never said anything, if she just smiled through it like everyone else, would the jokes have stopped? See, the thing about squirrel jokes is, It's not just a stand-up comedy episode. It's a case study in how easy it is to pick the other out of a group, and how hard it is to be the one who speaks up. Because let's be real, what Sandy did, that's rare. Most people in her shoes would have just swallowed it, shrunk down, avoided the next open mic night, laughed politely when feeling humiliated. Not because they're okay with it, but because standing up makes you a target twice. The first time SpongeBob pokes fun at her teeth, it's awkward but manageable. Even Sandy laughs it off at first. Because that's what people do when the joke's at their expense. They try to be good sports. But SpongeBob doesn't stop. He finds something that works and milks it dry, dragging Sandy's dignity down with every punchline. The more the crowd laughs, the more he doubles down, simply because being loved by the crowd feels too good to give up. That's where this episode gets sneaky. The villain isn't SpongeBob being cruel, it's SpongeBob being weak. He knows Sandy asked him to stop, he knows it's hurting her. But when the crowd demands a laugh, he gives them what they want. That's the cost of speaking up. Sandy had to risk her friendship just to ask for basic respect. She had to put herself in the awkward, vulnerable position of saying, "This hurts me." And even then, SpongeBob ignored her. So when she glues him to the chair, steals his helmet, and watches him dry out, that's clarity. She's forcing him to feel what it's like to have your discomfort turned into a joke, to be vulnerable, gasping, desperate, and still expected to smile. And when SpongeBob finally begs for mercy, she stops, because now he understands. The joke was never funny, not when he was the one being targeted. But if we're being honest, most of us are closer to SpongeBob than we want to admit. Not cruel, just careless. Just selfish enough to ignore it when the laughs are loud enough. But SpongeBob mocking Sandy on stage, that was just the start. There's one episode that takes it a step further, where the discrimination doesn't come from strangers, it comes from your own friend group. Let's talk about pressure. This one's kinda wild when you think about it, because the whole shenanigans start with simple conversation. Just Sandy and SpongeBob, watching clouds, trading jokes, doing what friends do. And then one challenge, one competitive spark. Let's race. From there, it snowballs. First it's a race up coral cliffs, then a foot race, then Sandy cheats, then SpongeBob cheats back. At first, it's funny, dumb, over-the-top banter, chum chewer, air breather, golf streamer. It's all kind of dumb in a fun way until everyone else shows up. Now it's not just two friends competing, now it's sea creatures versus land creatures. It's about pride, about proving who's better. And Sandy, as the outsider, becomes the target. She's stuck there, completely outnumbered, while the people she hangs out with every day turn her into a punchline. It's not just that they're teasing her, it's that they start treating her like some weird species they're too good for. Look at her, she needs a helmet to survive down here. She can't even do what we do. She's not really one of us. And Sandy finally snaps, rips off her helmet in a room full of water just to prove a point. And what do? They laugh. They sit there while she's literally suffocating and they keep cracking jokes. Nobody helps, nobody even flinches. That's when it clicks. This whole thing was never just a silly competition. It became a test of identity, of dominance. Air breather versus water sucker. Each side painting the other as weird, less than, or just plain dumb. And the group? They're not just laughing at Sandy, they're performing their unity by ganging up on the outsider. She's the only land creature, the only female, the only one not laughing. And when she takes off the helmet, it's an act of desperation. Because when you're in a space that keeps invalidating you, you'll do anything to prove you belong, even if it hurts. And the boys? They don't just doubt her, they doubt her entire species. Land creatures can't do what we do. She can't even survive without her suit. So Sandy throws down the ultimate challenge. If I have to suffer in your world to be respected, let's see if you can even survive in mine. They flinch at first, hesitate, but they accept the challenge. Not to understand Sandy, but to beat her at her own game. They stumble through the surface like fish out of water, reduced to puppets and toys, props in a world that wasn't built for them. And the moment it turns hostile, when the local seagulls attack, Sandy jumps in. She defends them, she protects them, even when they wouldn't have done the same. That's the difference. She didn't have to prove anything, but she still shows up when it counts. Because she's not just trying to win, she wants them to understand. But here's the thing, not everyone handles it like Sandy. Not everyone throws down a challenge, makes a point, wins some moral victory. Some people, like Squidward, just get tired and leave. And when they do, what they're looking for isn't peace, it's relief. Which brings us to Squidville. Some of you might think, wait a minute, Squidville isn't about racism. Technically, yes, it's about Squidward getting fed up with SpongeBob and Patrick's nonsense and fleeing to a gated squid-only community. He's sick of jellyfish net fights, lawnmower chaos, and clarinet disrespect. So he finds a place where everything and everyone is just like him. Identical houses, identical routines, identical people. And at first, it's paradise. But then the mask slips. Everyone dresses the same, talks the same, hobbies are uniform, opinions are recycled, even their complaints are synchronized. The longer he stays, the more you realize what this place really is. It's not a home, it's a filter. It's a place that trims out the weirdos, the noise, and the difference. Tentacle Acres becomes less about peace and more about segregation, a place that promises comfort by filtering out the other. A place that seems utopian as long as you don't step out of line. This is what makes Squidville hit different when you see it in this context. It's quiet, sanitized, polite, but still exclusionary. A different kind of prejudice, one that hides behind order, taste, and fitting in. So yeah, Squidville doesn't have the jokes about land creatures or SpongeBob in a racially coded costume, but make no mistake, it still fits the pattern. Because here's what all 3 of these episodes have in common. They each show what happens when someone feels out of place, not because they're wrong or bad or causing harm, but just because they're different. And while Sandy fought back, Squidward, he just left. Because when the group won't hear you out, sometimes the only move you have left is to walk away. So, what are these episodes really about? 3 different stories, but they all point to one thing. Racism and discrimination in general don't always wear a villain's costume. Sometimes it shows up in a joke that goes too far, a group that gossips too easily, or a silence that's too convenient. But the damage is still real. Discrimination isn't always about hate. It's about habit, ignorance, and comfort. It's the stuff we laugh at without thinking, the friends we don't stand up for, the moments we choose not to notice. And that's the part where it hurts the most, not just being different, but being alone in it. After all, maybe being a good friend isn't about who's the funniest. Maybe it's about knowing when to stop laughing and start listening. Because if you don't, you might become the reason they shut up or give up for good. So yeah, maybe SpongeBob isn't intentionally racist, but these episodes, they show how easily the lines blur between fun and harm, and how even the friendliest place under the sea isn't always friendly to everyone. But this isn't the only time SpongeBob dipped into uncomfortable truths. If you want to see how the show tackled something way darker than squirrel jokes, watch our breakdown of When SpongeBob Gets Dark, where Squidward asks a question nobody wants to answer. See you there.